Ryan here with Prudential Pest Solutions. And what we're looking at is the hatching of a hornet with some larvae. And I'm going to show you where we got this out of. And you can tell by the title, these hornets were actually in the ventilation area of a camper at a campsite. So nice couple just wanted to go hang out at their campsite in the summer and discovered these hornets. And these are very large hornets. So we're dealing with European hornets today. So larger than bald-faced hornets and larger than yellow jackets. A bit smaller than cicada killers, just in our lineup of bee size or wasp sizes. And I have a little comparison in a little bit that we'll see the size difference. So obviously I'm in my bee suit. I took the cover off and I exposed kind of the coolant area there, and they're just going crazy. So I'm using my PTPI, which is my aerosol insecticide, and I don't see the nest yet, so I'm just kind of injecting into that area and then making a little mist right at the opening there, because these European hornets are mean, big, and they'll let you know they're there. So we can see on the right side here that there's a size comparison. So we're dealing right now in this video with the European hornets, which is on the far right. For size comparison, a bald-faced hornet's right there. That's bigger than a honeybee. And then in the far left, those are yellow jackets. So that's just a size comparison between the three. And obviously we're experts at handling and removing all three of them. So continuing with the treatment, I got the flashlight out. We're going to take a look. It's really hard initially when you're dealing with a large nest like this, especially when they have it tucked away. You know, this was inside that louvered vent area, and the cabinet itself that we're working in is not very large. So it's a small working environment, and then you have large stinging insects buzzing all around you saying, hey, what are you doing to my house? So I'm just kind of poking around. I'm trying to find the nest. Very similar to bald-faced hornets and yellow jackets as well, in that they have a combed nest. They obviously don't make honey. They're not bees, but that's where they're going to lay their eggs and raise their larvae and whatnot. And they're going to have like a paper wrapping around the nest, just like you would see hanging from a tree with a bald-faced hornet. So very similar in that respect, just much bigger. And you'll see at the end of the video here, I have more close-ups of the larvae and some of the adults, so you can have a close-up view of what it looks like, and I find it pretty neat. So here's some dead ones, all on that sill there. That PTPI works extremely quickly. And besides their large size, European hornets have a very distinct coloration pattern on their back. I always think it looks like an upside-down crown. So now we're peeking in here. I removed some of the paper backing and exposed the nest. Now, you're going to see when I pull this out, but these things are like Frisbee size. So I know it's kind of tough to see size relation in the video here, but they're about the size of a Frisbee. So quite big. I'm trying to reach my hand in there. One of the limitations is with the long gloves that we wear is when you reach into an area like this or like a dryer vent opening or something like that, that the gloves kind of get hung up on the opening, and again, we still have adult European hornets flying around the outside here, so I've had it happen where they fly at my glove. I just try to avoid it when we can, especially when we're dealing with the big guys here. So it looks like I'm using my my bulb duster, just something that I had that was long and thin enough that I thought I could dislodge that nest. And just like I said, just like with the bald-faced hornets, they're going to have this thing glued up to the upper part of that ceiling there. They're going to have it glued up there pretty good. So European hornets, where you'll typically find them is we'll find them inside of structures. There we go, dislodged it. You'll also find them in hollows and nooks of trees. That's a pretty common place to find them. Typically, they're not going to cause a big issue if they're not, if they're out in the middle of the woods, no worries. It's when they're in areas like this RV camper here, or in homes, or right at the base of a tree next to a school or park, then we have to deal with them. So we see I got it out here, and we're going to work on getting the rest of that nesting material out, but let's take a closer look here. So we can see the larvae, they're still moving around. And those white parts, those are capped off, and what will happen is as the larva matures and turns into an adult, it will chew its way out of that. So we have an adult European hornet there, walking a little funny, not aggressive, because it's been impacted by that chemical and it's on its way to die. And there's again another look at their coloration on the back, their design on the back. And like I said, I just think it looks like an upside down crown, but it's very distinct. You're not going to find another insect that size with that kind of marking on it. And you can see where we're working. We do still have some adults. What's going to happen is I'll close up that that area there. I'll put that louvered vent back on, and then I'll treat the outside of it. And if you look in the bottom right, you can see the eggs, the little white rice-looking guys, and you can almost see like the different stages of their colony there. It's pretty neat. And keep in mind, all those white caps that we saw in those combs would all have been adults. So that's why, as the season goes on and the nest gets larger, more and more of them are going to hatch, and until we get to the end of summer, into the fall, when the nest will start diminishing. So there we go. We're going to work on getting all that larva and gunk and nesting material out of there as well. And that tool that I'm using there, that's actually what beekeepers or apiarists use to separate the honeycombs. It's like a very thin but rigid and pretty strong little pry bar. So I don't need to pull any nails with it or anything like that. This is what I use. It's a good scraper to get nests off, especially when they glue it as well as they do. So now we're back at the vehicle here, and I just have my fingers there to show reference. I have average adult male fingers. If that helps, I probably should have used a coin or something for size reference, but we live in a cashless world, so we don't have any coins. And here's a good look at the nest. Again, we still have larvae moving around, and if we were to open up those caps, and actually we can see one trying to chew his way out right here. Kind of by the bottom left there. So yeah, another nest successfully eradicated. The folks can go right up there. There's no limitations. They don't have to stay out of the camp or anything like that. All the chemicals we use are perfectly okay to be around with kids, pets, families, all that sort of thing. The only thing they're not good for are these European hornets, because it will kill them. So we're just going to open one of these little cells up here. You see him chewing through it. So if you have a hornet issue, bees, wasps, yellow jackets, we are the experts at treating, removing, and preventing these sort of infestations. So it's time to call the professionals at Prudential Pest Solutions. You can reach us at 484-401-4361. We service Berks County, Chester County, and all of southeastern Pennsylvania.